In November 2025, a massive fire broke out at Wang Fuk Court in Taipo, a disaster that shocked the world. 7 residential towers were engulfed in flames at the same time, becoming the most devastating urban fire Hong Kong had seen in nearly 40 years. In the previous video, we explained the real cause of the fire, why the flames spread so explosively, and the structural problems that led to such a high number of casualties. But as more information continues to surface, one thing has become increasingly clear. The tragedy of Wang Fuk Court was not simply an accident. It was the result of a system that had been breaking down for years. So today, we're not talking about the spark that started the fire. We're talking about the system behind it and the hidden forces that allowed this disaster to happen. According to the latest official updates, the fire has already resulted in 160 deaths, 79 injuries, and 6 residents still missing. Some remains were so severely burned and fragmented that DNA testing was required for identification. This alone shows how extreme the temperature and fire spread were that night, far beyond what a typical residential fire should ever reach. Police investigations are continuing to widen. Employees from the engineering company, subcontractors, and people involved in the supply chain have been arrested. The main focus now includes non-compliant protective netting, material changes during construction, inspection failures, and irregularities in engineering documents. But outside of the official investigation, something else has been happening. Something that has made many people uneasy. Some netizens reported that after they discussed Hong Kong's building maintenance system online, they were approached, questioned, or warned to be careful with their comments. A content creator who tried to build an open database about the fire later found some of her posts were moved from social platforms. Whether this was due to platform policy, algorithm decisions, or something else, no one can say for sure. But one thing is clear: talking about the fire is fine. Talking about the system behind the fire suddenly feels sensitive. To understand the problems behind the Wang Fuk Court fire, we need to start with one of the most disturbing facts. The construction company responsible for the project had accumulated at least 17 violation records over the years. Some of these incidents were serious enough to be investigated by regulatory authorities. Yet despite this long history of problems, the penalties they received were extremely light. The highest fine was only around $2,000, an amount far too small to deter any company involved in major building projects. What's even more puzzling is that despite this track record, the same company somehow received a perfect score in the government's contractor rating system. And this isn't an isolated case. It's part of a long-standing structural problem within Hong Kong's building maintenance system. As long as the paperwork looks clean and the procedures appear correct, a company's violation history hardly affects its eligibility to bid on major projects. The result is simple. Companies that know how to play the system often win contracts more easily than companies that actually prioritize safety. The tragedy at Wang Fuk Court didn't create this loophole, it simply exposed it in the most devastating way possible. When we look at the renovation project at Wang Fuk Court, another long-standing issue becomes impossible to ignore. One that residents across Hong Kong have been complaining about for years. Why is the most expensive company so often the one that wins the contract? On paper, Hong Kong's building maintenance contracts are awarded through open tender. But in reality, the group with the most influence isn't the residents, it's the consultancy firms. Consultants are the ones who draft the tender documents, set the scoring criteria, review submissions, and decide technical ratings. In other words, they're the final interpreters of the entire bidding process. For years, residents from multiple housing estates have questioned whether some consultants and contractors share overlapping interests. And in some cases, engineering companies even own a dozen or more consultancy firms themselves. When the people who score the bids and the people being scored operate within the same circle, the process may look competitive from the outside, but in practice, it becomes a closed market. For residents, the documents are too lengthy to understand. The scoring system is not transparent, and the technical criteria behind the decision are never clearly explained. What they end up seeing is simple. The most expensive company wins again. The result is an absurd yet extremely common pattern across Hong Kong. Major building maintenance projects aren't awarded to the most suitable company, but to the company that can most easily score high under the system. And the renovation project at Wong Fuk Court once again confirmed this structural problem. A high price doesn't mean high quality, but a high price often makes you the winner. To understand why Hong Kong's building maintenance system keeps failing, we need to talk about another crucial protective layer, the owner's corporation. In theory, the owner's corporation is supposed to be residents' final line of defense against unnecessary charges, poor quality construction, and untrustworthy contractors. But over the years, this very structure, designed to protect homeowners, has become one of the easiest parts of the system to infiltrate. Many housing estates have reported similar experiences. Contractors or related interest groups arranging for their own people to join the owner's corporation, or exerting pressure on existing members to influence decisions. Some committee members have even been convicted of corruption in past cases, proving that these issues aren't rumors. They are long-standing structural risks embedded in the industry. Once the owner's corporation is compromised, the most critical part of the entire maintenance process becomes vulnerable: the vote. Across Hong Kong, residents have spoken publicly about irregularities during voting. People being blocked from entering the venue, being told not to oppose certain proposals, or feeling pressured inside and outside the meeting hall. Some residents even claimed they were questioned or followed after casting a dissenting vote. Under these conditions, voting may appear to be a democratic procedure, but in reality, the final outcome is often shaped long before the ballots are cast. What makes the situation even more frustrating is that these problems are widely known among Hong Kong residents, yet almost impossible to change. Former legislator Lam Chuk Ting once founded an organization dedicated to helping homeowners investigate quotations, expose suspicious practices, and push for systemic reform. He was one of the few public figures willing to challenge the opaque, entrenched structures behind major maintenance projects. He questioned government departments repeatedly, demanded transparency, and called for stronger oversight. But in the end, the people who faced real consequences were not the contractors benefiting from the system, but the very person who tried to help residents. In the previous video, we explained that the reason the fire on the exterior wall spread upward so quickly was mainly due to the protective netting used during the renovation. After the fire, the government finally admitted that the netting installed at Wong Fuk Court had no fire retardant capability at all. The government then ordered all construction sites across Hong Kong to immediately remove similar netting, effectively acknowledging that the entire system had collapsed. But the most unbelievable part came when police dug deeper. They found that the contractor's decision to switch to non-fire retardant netting didn't actually save a large amount of money. It was only about $13,000. A cost-cutting decision worth the price of a used car ended up creating a disaster that killed more than 100 people and set 7 buildings on fire at the same time. At the same time, photos released by residents revealed another critical detail. Inside the bamboo scaffolding, workers had left large piles of construction waste, wooden planks, plastic scraps, packaging materials, and other highly flammable debris. Under basic safety standards, scaffolding should remain clear, but once a space becomes cluttered with flammable materials, a single spark is enough to turn the entire structure into a vertical fire channel. When you piece all these findings together, a very clear picture emerges. This was not an accident. It was the result of failed materials, chaotic management, absent oversight, and unsafe construction practices happening at the same time. And the starting point of it all was saving $13,000. The full truth has yet to surface. The flames may be out, but the systemic fire is still burning. If there are new updates in the investigation, I'll cover them here. If you want to follow the truth as it unfolds, make sure to subscribe. There's a lot more coming.